The Art of Letting Him Burn. Part 3. The Slow Burn. By the time spring arrived, Elena had become an expert in duality. To Mark, she was still the wife who kept the house in order, who asked how his day was, who nodded at his excuses with feigned acceptance. But beneath that facade, a different Elena thrived, a woman rediscovering her own power, piece by deliberate piece. Her classes became a sanctuary. Her dinners with Lila and old friends filled her with a laughter she hadn't realized she missed. Her private bank account grew, dollar by dollar, until she could look at the balance without feeling trapped. Every step was measured, intentional. Mark, meanwhile, unraveled without even noticing. One Saturday afternoon she caught him in a lie so sloppy it almost insulted her intelligence. "I'll be working late tonight," he said casually over breakfast, sipping his coffee. Elena raised her brow. "On a Saturday." "Client deadline," he answered quickly, too quickly. She let it go, pretending to buy it. But hours later, as she and Lila browsed through a boutique downtown, she spotted him through the shop window. Mark, arm draped over a woman with glossy black hair, both of them laughing too loudly, too carelessly. For a moment, Elena simply watched them, not with heartbreak, those days were behind her, but with a strange sense of clarity. This was the man she had bent her life around. This was the man she had let define her worth. And he wasn't even clever. That night, when he crept back into the house smelling of cheap perfume and denial, she greeted him with a gentle smile. "Long day?" she asked softly, closing her laptop. He blinked, startled by her warmth. "Yeah, exhausting." Elena leaned in, brushing her lips against his cheek. "I'm proud of how hard you work." The guilt flickered across his face for a split second. He covered it quickly, of course, but she had seen it. Good, she thought. Let it simmer. Her revenge wasn't going to be about screaming matches or ultimatums. That would give him too much power, too much satisfaction in watching her unravel. No, her revenge would be silence, absence, precision. She began documenting. Quietly. Carefully. Bank statements. Texts she glimpsed when his phone was left unattended. Photos snapped discreetly with her own. Every piece of evidence was stored neatly in a digital folder, labeled innocuously, encrypted behind a password only she knew. It wasn't about divorce, at least not yet. It was about leverage, about knowing she could dismantle him if she wanted to. And every time he smirked at a secret text, every time he brushed her off, Elena's power grew. But there were moments when her resolve wavered. On their anniversary, he surprised her with flowers and dinner reservations. He smiled at her across the table, candlelight flickering between them, and for the briefest second, she glimpsed the man she had fallen in love with years ago. She almost let herself believe it. But then his phone buzzed in his pocket. She watched his eyes flicker down, the way his hand twitched, the way his smile faltered. And she remembered. The flowers weren't for her. They were penance for his guilt. The dinner wasn't love. It was strategy. Elena excused herself to the bathroom, locked the stall, and stared at her reflection in the mirror. "You're not falling for this," she whispered. Her reflection stared back, stronger now, steel threaded through her softness. The real turning point came one evening in April. Mark stumbled home late, clearly drunk. Elena helped him to the couch, eased off his shoes, tucked a blanket around him. He muttered her name, half asleep, and for a moment her chest ached with old love. Then his phone buzzed. She hesitated, then picked it up. A message flashed across the screen. "I miss you already. Last night was perfect. Can't wait for next time." Her heart didn't break this time. It hardened. She deleted nothing. She locked the phone and set it gently back on the table. The evidence was already stacking high enough to crush him. At ceramics class that week, Elena shaped a bowl with walls thin and delicate. The instructor cautioned her, "If you're not careful, it'll collapse." Elena smiled faintly, smoothing the clay with steady hands. Sometimes that's the point, she murmured. Mark thought she was still in his grasp, that she was too naive, too forgiving, too dependent to ever leave. But Elena knew better, because fire doesn't always roar when it destroys. Sometimes it burns quietly, patiently, until there's nothing left but ash. And soon, Mark would learn exactly how it felt to be left standing in the smoke of what he'd ruined.